Amazon sellers lose money whenever there is unnoticed inventory mistake, damaged goods, or processing errors inside Amazon system. In this video, you will learn how you can get reimbursed in case of these happenings, what recent changes Amazon has made to their reimbursement policies, and why recovering money Amazon owes you is crucial for maintaining profitability in your business. And if you need help with reimbursements, try Seller Investigators. Use the link in the description below to get free audit from their team.
Hello, Lee. Welcome back to Orange Klik YouTube channel. I'm excited to see you again to give us an update about what's going on in the Amazon reimbursements world, and also kind of to go over again how Seller Investigators helps Amazon sellers to recover money that Amazon owes them. But first things first, for those who are not familiar with you yet, could you first introduce yourself? Give us a little bit information about your background, and then shortly introduce Seller Investigators tool as well.
Sure. Well, I'm super excited to be here. Just love the show. You've been great. So my name is Lee Lurie. I am one of the founders of Seller Investigators and have been in this space now for north of 8 years. And prior to that, have been an entrepreneur in a number of different ventures. Was selling on Amazon before, which is how we kind of stumbled into this business with my business partner, who also was a seller. And essentially what Seller Investigators does is when you sell on the Amazon platform as a 3P seller or as a Seller Central seller, assuming you're doing FBA, because that's fulfillment by Amazon. If you're doing FBM, you're fulfilling stuff on your own, we can't help you a lot. But if you're shipping product into the warehouse, they're just mistakes that happen. It's not Amazon's fault. I mean, it is their fault, but they don't mean to do it. Just mistakes happen. Things get dirty. They can't be sold. They get lost. They get damaged. Sometimes they, do get stolen. There are just things that happen. And by terms that you have within your Seller Central agreement, there really should be no loss there, but they're not perfect. And so we live in that margin where they're supposed to be perfect, but they're not. And we go in and advocate on behalf of your store or you, however you want to think about it. And we try to fight and claw back money that Amazon owes you. The rule of thumb is about 1% of your total sales is what is really kind of available for us to typically go out and get. And there are time stipulations on how far we can go back. And, so we aren't going to be able to go back 5 years. But, for most clients, it means a slug of money in the first 60 to 90 days that can then be deployed into the business doing, anything from taking your family on a trip to Europe, and to go visit LISETT, or if, you want to deploy it into buying more search terms to drive traffic, it's really up to you. But our core business is getting money back that's owed to you by Amazon.
Okay, very good overview, Lee. Thank you very much. And we will go into details in this discussion. Obviously, Amazon has its own processes also to try to make sure that no money is owed to the sellers. But as you just said, oftentimes it's not that on purpose they don't pay out, or they lose products, for example, or their issues, but it just happens and it piles up over time. So for businesses, it can make 1%. If you have a good, healthy business, it's a lot of money. But to kind of wind back a little bit, you have been in the space for a while, as you said, also as a seller. If you would kind of characterize how the past 5 years in the reimbursement area have been, because I have also been in the space for a long time, and I know at some point barely anyone was not even talking about reimbursements. Probably around the time when you started, how common it was even to know that there is a chance that Amazon owes you money as a seller.
Yeah, well, I think more broadly, we can obviously, we're here to talk about refunds or the refund recovery space, but more broadly, being on Amazon as a seller has changed dramatically in the last 7 or 8 years. It used to be that people had, if you were selling nutraceuticals or vitamins, which is typically one of the best margins that kind of has scale on Amazon, those businesses were running north of 50% margins consistently. Lots of them were. And, a normal business could be running 25, 30% margins. It just was a great avenue. It was less expensive than a traditional retailer took in terms of the bite that the retailer wanted. If you wanted to say, go to a Target, that world has sort of shifted on itself. Amazon is a platform that's trying to make money. They're a publicly traded company. And as a result, There have been more fees added on, more things added on, more complexity added on. It's harder to run a business because there's more competition. All of those things, the answer to that, what I'm kind of getting at is it's just more complex to be on the platform today than it was 7 or 8 years ago. And I think the refund recovery space reflects that. In the last, since we've been doing it, we could file cases, and if it was under $500, Amazon basically dealt with it in the same day. And that was, 7 or 8 years ago. Today, we have a backlog of like $40 million that's on Amazon. It's on their desk waiting for them to do recovery right now to figure it out and find out if what we're doing is true and if they can verify it or whatever else. And so the time to do that has gone down. The value that you get back has gone down. Amazon, has done some things. Like for example, last year they changed it. It used to be 9 months and 18 months is how far back we could look to then go back and file cases. Well, they changed the rules. I think it was, I can't remember the date, what month it was last year, but last year they changed the rules and they made it where it's 60 to 90 days, depending on what the case looks like or what kind of the category the case falls into. And so all of a sudden you take an 18-month window and you compress it to 3. Like that's a drastic change in terms of what we can look back and get. Now, on a go-forward basis, it does not affect your business. But that lump of money that I implied, I talked about earlier, where you get this, found money in the first 60 days, that means you're going to get less of that found money because Amazon is going to not go back as far back in time. That's just an example of how it's gotten. Amazon has sort of figured out, oh, we can keep more money and, things. So they did that. Another thing that they did is it used to be that if you had issues, for example, with loss and damage, and Amazon decided that on their side, it was their mistake, they would pay you full retail. So if your product sold for $100, they would give you $100 for every item that was lost, that they were damaged. Now, they changed the rules a few months ago where now they pay you what you have in it, so your cost. So they've asked all sellers to give them the cost basis of all their products. Well, you can imagine how many people don't want to tell Amazon exactly how much that, it costs them to make a product because Amazon is a direct competitor in theory. And so we have about 10,000 clients on Seller Investigators currently. It fluctuates a little bit, but around that. So we have a pretty good universe of people, and we would be the agent of record if they wanted us to be able to upload those numbers and do things. We have very few clients who are actually filling out that paperwork. And it's because A, people are lazy, and it's B, because people don't want Amazon to know what the value is. And so what Amazon does is that $100 item that when they lost it last year, now they're giving you $35. And they're basically, I'd say daring you, but if you haven't submitted your paperwork, you might be able to get $35 up to 38 or 39, but you're never going to see 70. Like it's never going to happen. And so there's just a little bit of wiggle room, but they cut the value of that. So as a seller, you get less back. But the time is now. It doesn't matter. Even if you get, 50 cents of what you could get a year ago, you're still getting back 50 cents. It's super important for people who are on this platform, on Amazon. I mean, not watching your podcast, but that too. But on Amazon, you need to understand that you need an advocate. You need to be doing this. This is the easiest way for you to increase profitability in your Amazon store, is by doing this. If you work with us, or there are a few other competitors, you could go find if you ChatGPT or Google it, that there is no cost to do these things. We only take money when we win. So there's no sign-up fee. There's no ongoing fee. If we are not successful, you do not pay us a nickel to be monitoring your store. And so there is no downside to having it done. And what we find is that most people, when they do it themselves, or internally within their own business, whether they do it themselves or they have somebody in the business that does it, they may have some success, but it's about 50% of the success that we see, just because of our repetition and how good we've become at sort of the relationships at Amazon and how we submit tickets and things. So it more than pays for itself, but there's no better way to make more profitable dollars come out of your business than what we're doing. So I can't tell people enough that how important it is to do this. And it's easy. You set it and forget it. Once you're on it, you don't have to worry about it.
And also one thing I think, many entrepreneurs also watching our channel have been like, Amazon business might be their first business, and having Amazon reimbursing 100% of the retail price, it's something they were used to. But actually, can you confirm it's not actually industry like norm to always reimburse 100%. So Amazon was quite generous before making this change.
There's no question. No, it's funny, as a business, it affects us because we take money from what we get you back. So if we were getting you 100 and now we're getting you 50, like, we made half of what we did before. That's hard on our business. But I don't disagree with you. If it, in this instance where we're talking about how they compensated you when stuff was damaged, if it's damaged or lost, the only real cost you have is what you had in it, not what you would have sold it for. So I agree with you, actually, that it's not unfair that Amazon changed these rules.
I mean, Amazon sellers, what I might also meant was that Amazon sellers should not be like discouraged to continue working on their reimbursements. Just like, that Amazon made, because I saw so many angry sellers out there, and of course it makes a huge difference money wise. But I should say it, any dollar you get back still is money for your business, right? So you should not neglect that.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody likes to get more than they're entitled to. And then when you take it away, the crowd, the angry mob gets upset. So I totally get it. But in this instance, I do think that what Amazon was doing was above generous. And now it is more industry in line. It just made sellers angry. But I totally agree with you. It's still, you're getting back 50 cents or $50. You still should go after the money. Like, even if it's less than what it used to be, it's still money that you're owed. So I just can't encourage people enough. I can't encourage people enough to just sign up, test it, see how much money you get back, and that way that you're not missing out on this stuff. Yeah, totally agree.
And you have obviously a lot of experience. You said more than 10,000 people probably using your service as well. Coming back to this one change that Amazon now wants sellers to list their manufacturing price on the platform to kind of then calculate what reimbursement they will pay. So it has been probably less than a year since that's changed. What is kind of the common approach you have seen sellers taking? Are they actually then, you said a lot of them forgot it. It's just like what do they do? Do they leave it just empty and let Amazon kind of take these averages? I think they take based on the competitors, right?
That's exactly what people are doing. They're not filling out the paperwork. And then what we are finding in this, this is the sort of the essence of how things go, like, that are a little different than, I can't define this. It's just what we're seeing is that if it was $100 that you were getting back before, but your real cost is like, let's say $40 or $30, which is not uncommon in retail to sort of make that kind of margin because of other things that go into it, that Amazon is going to come back. It's always going to be a little lower than what your probably actual physical costs are. They've done the modeling to figure out, most people triple their value or quadruple it or whatever in this category. And then they do an average is what it seems like they're doing. And let's say they come back to you at $25, right? And you say, oh, that's too low. And then we tend to do a lot of this work for people because we're getting that money back. So, like, we see that they're only going to give you $25 back. So then we push back to Amazon and we're like, it's not $25 is our cost. Our cost is $38. And they say, okay, well, we're not going to get you to 38. We'll go from 25 to 29. And then there's like a negotiation back. Then we come down to 32 and we arrive at $31.25. And the arrival of that number is not defined. It varies according to the client. It varies according to the ASIN. It varies according to the volume that they're doing. There are a number of different things that kind of play into that. And we've tried to model it out, and it's been pretty difficult to really get a handle on, like, what Amazon will and won't do. But what we're seeing is they set a number when you don't have anything filled out. They set a number, and then we're able to push back, and we tend to be able to move it between mid-single digits to mid-teens from where it was. So 5% to say 15% more than what they were originally offering. Is about kind of the range that we typically see. And we push back every time, and they typically move it a little bit. But if you don't fill out the paperwork, they make an estimate and we go from there.
Okay, all clear. And you already gave a call to action to check seller investigators out. We also have the link in the video description below, so you can head to the website, sign up, and as Lee said, if they recover money for you, only then they also are winning. If not, then no. So you probably work hard to try to recover as much as possible. But just to clarify, is the tool based just fully on automation, or is there any like human elements involved as well to kind of try to give the best effort in to recover money?
Yeah, it's almost all human, actually. There are some rules within Amazon, within the terms of service that, excuse me, When we submit tickets into Amazon on your behalf, those actually have to physically be done by a person. Cannot use bots, cannot do anything, the AI, any of that. That actually has to physically be done by a person. And so in that sense, every case gets touched by a human. We use some technology and some things to identify where there are problems, where we identify cases to file and things like that. But all that's really doing is augmenting. It still needs to go through human. It still needs to have a person look at it and say, yep. Because like, let's say, for example, they lose 100 pieces in a shipment, and that happens. Sometimes that shipment will be a duplicate and the client never shipped it. And so you don't want to submit that case to Amazon because it makes it look like you as a seller are not on top of your game. You don't know what's going on in your store. You don't realize that like there were 2 shipments 2 weeks apart. One you shipped, one you didn't. We didn't lose that shipment. You just didn't ship it. And so we have to go through and test those things before we file the cases. So we identify the cases and then human beings get involved to sort of figure out whether or not they're real or not. We use as much technology as we can to narrow that focus so the people are working on actual projects rather than, starting with I mean, we file, I forget, I think it's over 100,000 cases a month. It's a lot. And so, to file 100,000, to work with that, there might be 140,000 cases that we identify. We use humans at different stages as we sort of shrink down so the work being performed is meaningful work that's actually going to turn into revenue.
Okay, sounds good. So sellers, you would be in good hands when working with seller investigators. Okay, good. But Lee, what do you think what the future will bring us? To kind of summarize today's interview, like we talked about a few changes, recapping what was going on last year, early this year. What do you think what the future will bring?
Well, certainly I think there'll be change. To start with that. If this industry has taught me anything in 7 or 8 years, it's that it is always evolving. Amazon is always trying to figure out, and keep in mind, they are a platform. They are providing you a place to put your store and to sell your stuff. But they're also a bit of an adversary, right? I mean, they are really trying to get as many people on the platform as humanly possible to sell as much product as humanly possible. And they don't necessarily care about your store. If you were selling toilet paper, they care about selling toilet paper more than your store selling toilet paper. So when you think about it through that lens, you've just always got to be thinking of like, how can I maximize my store? How can I do this? How can I do that? So, in terms of that, there's going to always be a lot of change in the way that you go about selling your product on the store. As for refunds, I mean, maybe they change the time frame a little bit more. Maybe they open it up to being able to use more technology to file cases to make that go faster. But at the end of the day, there are pretty clear lines within your terms of service that you sign in your seller central agreement that allow for this kind of work to be done. It keeps them honest, if you will. If anybody is familiar with like marine animals, we're like remoras on a shark. We're cleaning up the skin, we're cleaning up the dead fish, we're doing the things that the shark doesn't want to do. So in a way, we're helping Amazon be more efficient. We are. I mean, Amazon's not trying to keep money out of the seller's pocket. They're just managing a humongous store, and they can't get bogged down in the individual stuff as much as maybe needs to in order to be perfect. So they recognize there is some margin that is acceptable to not be perfect. And they just try to have, they try to do better than that. And assuming they continue to be like that, there's always going to be a little place for us to make money for your store. And assuming that's the case, we'll always be here trying to help people.
Love how you were painting this picture. I think it wrapped up our interview really well for today. So thanks again, Lee, for joining me. And of course, we're on a lookout for any updates and progress coming in the future. So if anything new pops up, then I'm sure we're gonna sit down again and record another video. So thanks again, and I hope to see you soon.
Great. Thanks for having me.
I hope this video will help you to understand how to get reimbursed. And if you need help with the reimbursements, try Seller Investigators. You will find the link in the description. And with this link, you will also get a free audit from Seller Investigators team. And don't forget to hit like for this video and subscribe to our channel to get notifications about more videos we upload. And also leave a comment or question below in the comment section in case you have them, and we will ask Seller Investigators team to answer them. And now I recommend you to watch another video where you will learn how to create Amazon product images using AI, artificial intelligence.